Hi, boys and girls. Let's go on an adventure with Miss Frizzle. Let's see where she's going to go. This is called The Magic School Bus Gets Cold Feet. I wonder what kind of animals they're going to see that have cold feet. Enjoy! When you're in Miss Frizzle's class, things never happen the way they're supposed to. Like the other day, when Liz, the class lizard, was missing. We tore up the whole classroom, but we couldn't find her anywhere. Even her habitat was missing. Maybe she moved into another classroom. Liz would never leave us. We were about to give up hope when Miss Frizzle blew into the room. She was riding a giant alligator balloon that had sprung a leak. "Miss Frizzle, Liz is missing," Phoebe cried. "Oh, I know," Miss Frizzle said, "and so is the air from my alligator." The class was puzzled. Miss Frizzle didn't seem worried about Liz at all. Well, Miss Frizzle sounds so unconcerned. Cold-blooded is more like it. Wanda didn't notice. She was busy looking for clues. "I found a note. It's written in lizard," Wanda cried. "Can you read it, Miss Frizzle?" "Let's see," Miss Frizzle said. "Claw polish, scale moisturizer, fang paste." "Oh, that sounds like a packing list," Tim cried. "Then Liz did move out." Arnold found another clue. A page torn out of a magazine. It showed a picture of a big white building. "Oh, I bet this is where she went," Arnold said. "The address is right here." To the bus. Is a rescue mission the same as a field trip? The place where Liz moved is called Herp Ha, Arnold said. Wanda shook her head. "The rest of the ha is torn off," she said. "It's not Herp Ha, it's Herp something else." "Okay, but what's a herp?" Ralphie asked. Miss Frizzle smiled. "Good question, Ralphie. Quite simple. A herp is a reptile." "And Liz is a lizard, which makes her a reptile," Keisha said. "That still doesn't explain why Liz would pack up and leave us." Wanda said, "She could be in danger. We have to rescue her." The bus pulled up to the address. Wanda read the sign in front of the building. "Herp Haven," she said. "I told you it wasn't Herp Ha." "Haven means a safe place," said Dorothy Ann. Ralphie saw another sign. "Yikes, an alligator crossing!" Before the class could get a close look at the alligators, a large car pulled up and a woman got out. She was holding a leash with a giant tortoise on one end. A tall man in a white suit opened the front door. "I want my tortoise toasted and stuffed, just like the last one," the woman told him. The class couldn't believe their ears. "Toasted and stuffed? It sounds like that turtle is about to become somebody's dinner," Carlos cried. "What if Liz is next?" Phoebe wailed. "If only we could get inside." "Oh, very funny, Mrs. Westlake." Wanda tried to get inside, but it didn't work. The man at the door pulled out a long scroll of paper. "There is a list of requirements that must be met before entry is allowed," he said. "Body temperature, changeable. Sweat glands, none. Scales or skin, allowed. Hair, not allowed. So you see, I cannot let you in. Good day." He handed Wanda the list and shut the door with a loud bang. Back on the bus, the class examined the list. "Body temperature, changeable," Arnold read. Carlos sighed. "Well, that leaves us out. Our body temperature stays mostly the same." "Well, that's why we're called warm-blooded," Keisha said. Tim looked thoughtful. "Then is a reptile cold-blooded?" "All reptiles are cold-blooded," Miss Frizzle replied. "Cold-blooded, old-blooded. What we need is a plan." "What we really need is a disguise." Dorothy Ann was reading a book. "I've got it," she cried. In ancient times, Greek soldiers built a huge wooden horse, and they hid inside it to fool their enemy. It was called a Trojan horse. "I know," Phoebe said. "We can turn the bus into a Trojan alligator." "A Trojan horse? That's a great idea." "A horse isn't a reptile, but an alligator is." Phoebe stood outside the bus. Miss Frizzle pulled a lever. Whoosh! Green smoke filled the air. When the smoke cleared, Phoebe saw that the bus had shrunk. It looked just like a life-size alligator. "It's a bussigator now!" Phoebe cried. Phoebe put a leash around the bussigator and walked up to the front door. "Man, this is what I call an inside job, Carlos." The man in the white suit let Phoebe and the bussigator in without a problem. "What a splendid alligator," the man said. He grabbed the leash. "I'll take her now." "Oh, I should go with her," Phoebe said. "She doesn't like to be alone." "Oh, don't worry," the man said, leading the bussigator away. "We just love our cold-blooded creatures to death." He left Phoebe all alone. "Oh, no," Phoebe moaned. "He's going to toast and stuff the bussigator just like that tortoise." From inside the bussigator, we heard a loud splash. "We did it!" Wanda cried. "We're in!" "But where exactly are we?" Ralphie asked. We looked out the bussigator's front windows. We were in a pool of water near a waterfall. An island filled with shade trees and plants sat just a few feet away. Around the bussigator, all kinds of reptiles were crawling, including alligators. "Oh, we're in hot water now." "Brrr, cold water, actually." "How do we get out of here?" Ralphie asked. "Well, we can't get out of here," Arnold said nervously. "Those are real snakes and alligators crawling around." "We can't find Liz by staying in here," Wanda pointed out. "If we become reptiles ourselves, we can look for Liz without that guy in white bothering us," Keisha suggested. Miss Frizzle smiled. "Good thinking, Keisha." She walked over to a strange machine built into the bus. It was covered with buttons and flashing lights. "Kids, meet the reptilator," the Frizz said. "I'll turn us into reptiles in no time." Miss Frizzle, maybe I should stay behind and keep an eye on the bussigator." "Well, I'll stay with you, Arnold." Miss Frizzle pulled a lever. In a flash, we all turned into reptiles, except for Arnold and Dorothy Ann. Carlos was a speckled caiman. Tim was a gecko. Keisha was a garter snake. Wanda was a chameleon. Ralphie was a turtle. And Miss Frizzle was a frilled lizard. "I'm cold," Ralphie said, sticking his head inside his shell. "To get warm, we have to move to a warmer place," Carlos suggested. "Let's try that heat lamp over there." We all crowded to the lamp. "It's nice and warm here," Tim said. "I guess to feel the heat, you have to find the heat." To a reptile, location is everything. And now we've got to locate Liz. Meanwhile, Phoebe was trying to find Liz on her own. She checked the kitchen just in case the man in white was trying to cook Liz for dinner. Phoebe didn't find Liz, but she did find a weird menu. The lizards get just one meal a week. Phoebe couldn't believe what she was reading. And the alligators get only one meal a month. How inhumane! What kind of place is this? Please let there be no spaghetti and Liz balls on the menu. Phoebe checked out the kitchen. We crawled into the boiler room. "It really is boiling in here," Tim said. "So how come I'm not sweating like I usually do when I'm hot?" "Sweat glands? None," Wanda said. "That's what it said on the scroll. So I bet reptiles can't sweat to cool down." Ralphie stuck his head out of his shell. "If you have to find heat to feel warm, maybe you have to find cold to cool down," he said. Miss Frizzle pushed a water bucket toward us. Keisha slithered over to the bucket and stuck her tail in the cold water. "Wow, I can feel my temperature dropping already," she exclaimed. Everyone crawled toward the bucket, except for Wanda. "We're more worried about staying the right temperature than we are about finding Liz," Wanda said. "Let's get moving." Just when I was feeling comfy." Back at the bussigator, Arnold and Dorothy Ann were freezing. "Let's move the bussigator to where it's warm," Dorothy Ann chattered. But the bus wouldn't budge. Arnold and Dorothy Ann left the bussigator and tried to push the heat lamp toward it. They didn't go far before Arnold noticed they were being followed by a swarm of reptiles. "Maybe they're upset because we took their heat." "Forget the heat. Let's get back to the bus." After Miss Frizzle and we left the boiler room, we crawled into another room. It was cold, very cold. Reptiles were sleeping in glass drawers. The green lizard was curled up in one of them. "It's Liz!" everyone cried. "She's barely breathing," Tim noticed. Keisha put her head near Liz's chest. "I can't hear her heartbeat." "Liz, snap out of it!" "What are we going to do?" "Wake up, Liz!" Wanda cried. Ralphie stared at Liz. "She's not sleeping. It looks like she's frozen." "There's one thing I don't get," Keisha said. "If it feels so cold, how come I'm not shivering?" "Well, reptiles can't shiver," Wanda said. "Shivering is just something people do to get warm." When reptiles get really cold, their bodies just slow way down. I'm slowing down too. Slowing down? Isn't that like hibernation? Keisha said. Exactly, Miss Frizzle said sleepily. We were getting sleepier and sleepier when Phoebe walked in. When did you guys become reptiles? She gasped. Wanda raised her head. Phoebe, unhibernate Liz. Take her someplace warm. Phoebe grabbed Liz, Miss Frizzle, and the rest of the class in her arms. I'll save you all from this dangerous place, she said. Hibernation isn't dangerous, Phoebe. Think of it as a vacation. The bus is hibernating just like Liz was. Phoebe raced out of the cold room. As she warmed up in Phoebe's arms, Liz started to wake up. Soon we ran right into the busicator in the reptile habitat. Wanda looked inside the bus. Arnold, DA, get us out of here. We can't, Arnold said. The bus is so cold. It stopped working. Ralphie groaned. If we don't get the bus moving, we could be reptiles for the rest of our lives. Liz jumped out of Phoebe's arms and crawled to a nearby heat lamp. A bunch of other reptiles were there too. Look at Liz, Carlos said. She doesn't look cold anymore. She looks happy. If we get the bus to where it's warmer, it'll start working again, Wanda said. Well, I can do that, Phoebe said. We climbed into the bus and Phoebe pulled it toward the lamp. With Phoebe's help, we made it to the heat lamp. The busicator warmed up and pretty soon it was moving again. We followed Phoebe outside. We were free! Suddenly, a pile of nearby rocks started moving, but they weren't rocks, they were alligators. Do something, Miss Frizzle, Phoebe yelled. The Frizz pulled some more levers, and soon we all turned back into kids again. The busicator changed back into the size of a regular bus, but now it was a giant lizard. Phoebe climbed on board. Just as we were about to escape over the fence, the strange man in white came running after us. He carried something covered by a sheet. You forgot something, he said, pulling off the sheet. Liz's habitat, we cried. Miss Frizzle shook his hand. Thanks, Harry. You know him? Phoebe asked. Well, Harry Herbst is the one who built Liz's habitat, Miss Frizzle said. It just needed a few repairs. I run Herb Haven, Harry added. It's a luxury spa and restful resort for weary, worn-out reptiles. So you weren't going to stuff Liz? Arnold asked. Harry laughed. Hardly, but we did make sure she had enough to eat. It wasn't difficult, because reptiles often go for weeks without eating. Miss Frizzle, why don't you tell us this was a good place to be? Phoebe asked. The Frizz smiled. I started to tell you, but I just love it when you figure out things for yourself. Miss Frizzle,